Hey guys, welcome back to Overtakes. This is Kel.
And this is Misfit.
And we are back with another off-season episode. Got a lot of stuff to cover in this episode. We haven't been with you guys in about 2 weeks, so maybe even more than that.
Yeah, well, about 2 weeks. Bear in mind, guys, we work in the grocery business, and
Thanksgiving.
Busiest week of our year.
Yeah.
I spent one day covered in tree sap, so the rest of the time I was just shelling out beer and wine and cheese. Right. But
I don't even work in the meat department, and I probably sling more turkeys than any fish.
Yeah. well, let's be honest. I mean, Thanksgiving's not the biggest fish holiday.
No.
Maybe
but,
a little
man, are they going for fish now?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Christmas coming up. You guys got all the stuff. And, we have a large Catholic and Italian population. So, there's one night where you're going to sell a lot of fish.
Oh, yeah.
But holidays aside, and I hope all you guys had a good Thanksgiving, by the way, and good holiday weekend if you're in America. If not, I hope the time off has been great. So let's kind of start diving into this. All right. When we last left you guys, we were wondering where some teams were going, and we found out.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some of the transactions. I mean, some of them we're going to dive more into the teams themselves in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to talk more about like what happened and, some hot takes on, maybe, where we think these teams are going and whatnot.
We got to find a couple of like somewhat finalized rosters, or at least like starting lineups, we're assuming for a few different teams. But yeah, a lot of different changes coming in.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard to say where the meta and all that stuff is going, but that's also, up in the air as to what's going to happen because, we got big patches that are going to drop. We talked about that last one, with Murder Cow and, apparently, Baptiste 76.
Yeah. Well, that's already live technically. Yeah. Hopefully that is coming this week.
Yeah.
I'm assuming either sometime this week, at the latest, I would say next week.
Yeah. Because the Christmas thing will drop.
Yeah.
The 10th.
And my guess is they're probably going to have them all just come out at the same time.
Yeah, which okay, I get that. I mean, I want to. For as much as we played on the PTR, which we need to stream more of that, guys, and we'll do that so you guys can check us out and watch me fail. Watch Kel carry. It's just so much more fun on the PTR right now.
It really is.
To an extent.
Yeah, minus the, like, when we each play by ourselves, it's fine, but when we play together, like, the wonkiness, like we already get pretty wonky games on ladder or just in like regular quick play, like on the live servers, but when we play together on PTR, like it has no idea how to like pair us together. So we get some really one-sided games. So we either stomp or get stomped, and there's like very little in between.
We either play against all bronze or all diamond.
Yeah.
There's like no, okay, this is kind of even.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see where everything goes in that. And, we'll talk a lot about different things, especially later on in this episode. But let's start talking about teams, transactions. Look, first we're going to start with Boston because, well, they're always the biggest unknown as to what the fuck they're doing.
I mean, they announced a roster.
Well, like they always do. So, in the past week, and honestly, if you look at it on paper, it's not the worst roster.
Yeah.
But you're going, I don't know these guys, some of them. I heard this guy mentioned by some guy, watching a Contenders show, like watching Black Watch Report or watching something like that. You're like, I heard them talking about that dude for like a hot second. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so they signed Munchkin, which, if you guys were fans of the show, he was part of the Bunny Munchkin, the Bunchkin.
Yes.
obviously tracer specialist, hit scan. I think it's a good veteran presence.
Definitely.
To throw on there. And then Brucein, no idea. Flex tank, Angry Titans. Okay.
Really don't know all that much about him.
So,
but it seems like very much a Boston Uprising move.
Yeah, and same thing with Munchkin.
Yeah.
Budget veteran. You know,
they either
not
go
terrible.
Budget veteran or like relatively unknown young player with high upside.
And high coachability.
Yes.
And which will turn into, from what it seems, for their purposes, high tradability in the future.
Yeah. Right.
This is one of those teams. I hate Boston teams, so I'm never going to root for one. Mm-hmm. But like, there's always like with the Uprising, there's always this intrigue of how are they going to do? I want to see how this plays out. You know what I mean? It's like it could be this like massive shit show, which is what it kind of was last year.
Yeah. Like there was a few moments where you're like, ooh, they might be pulling this together. They might be pretty good, and then it just fell apart and it went bad real quick.
Not playing Aim God?
Yeah.
Anyway. That was the first mistake. But I mean, it's not like excitement about these signings, but I'm just like, I don't get where they're going. But it's kind of it's Boston, so I don't get where they're going, so it's kind of norm.
Right. So, I mean, like you said, like they could be... I still don't see them being a top-tier team. I do think that they have the ability to like maybe comfortably make the playoffs is probably their ceiling.
Yeah.
But
like
at the
get
same
into
time,
that play-in tournament and see what happens.
Yeah, like I think that's definitely pretty good, but their floor is
realistically, realistically, I see them in the 14 to 16, 18 range.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Maybe have a chance to get in if this whole pile of whatever the fuck does something.
Yeah.
Which
that's best case. Or well, I don't know. I do think that's probably like what we should expect. I do think that they could be good, but not holding out too much hope for it.
No, not at all. Okay, so let's dive into
your team.
My team. So the whole signing Olive Runaway did not happen.
Right, but we finally got some answers instead of sideways eye emoji.
Holy shit!
For like
that between them and London with the side eye,
right?
Okay, guys, I love all you content creators because you make this fun, but for the love of God, with side eye, can we please stop? And do we have to wait to do the? I know everybody. I like the production value of some of the things, but can we just announce the players?
Yeah.
For the love. Okay, so we signed Gangnam Jin, who's a flex support, and Yaki.
Yeah.
I like it. And we also signed Kuki as a coach. Mm-hmm. Yes, the Kuki that was on the Valiant and the Dynasty.
Yes.
I like that. I like having a guy that played in the league, especially with the travel and all the things and a young team. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that. Yaki, I think, is going to be a really good addition. Because if you look at their DPS, so you have Yaki, who's fantastic. You know, he plays a lot of different heroes. Then you have Saya doing the hit scan, and then you have BQB who can fill in the other spots where Yaki can't play. I think that's solid.
Yeah, that's a really solid DPS line.
Yeah.
Then you also re-signed Fate, which, I mean, I feel like everybody kind of expected that.
Yeah. And Gargoyle, I think Fate Gargoyle is an underrated tank line right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we'll see what happens. But then Gangnam Jin and Chris, I think will be good.
Yeah.
Chris is not the greatest main support, but he's a good shot caller, and he's a kind of a team leader.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that.
A Custa type guy, like Custa Light.
Yeah, Custa Light. You know, he's not going to set the world on fire, and you know, he plays a decent Lucio.
Have crazy Moth or Masa plays or anything like that, but
right. He's going to do what he does.
Yeah, he'll be serviceable, and I think that that Gangnam Jin will kind of be a good play with him, just because he's fantastic.
Yeah,
he's a really good player. So I think that really boosts your support line quite a bit.
And what it does, depending on the meta, I mean, there's a lot of different things floating around. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then? If we're going to get heroes or any more balance changes or anything like that. But if you go right now, you're looking at probably Lucio, Baptiste is going to be involved. You know, the support lines are so interchangeable right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be map and hero dependent, mostly map. Because I do think there's going to be some times where Anna's going to be viable. I think Lucio will probably get the most picks. I could also see some points where Mercy comes in.
Yeah.
Depending, especially if there's any opportunities that a team can play Pharah.
Yeah, exactly. And with the way they nerfed barriers and stuff like that, you're probably going to get that.
Yeah, definitely.
Or, you know, and you're gonna get some Baptiste because he's really strong right now, and Zen is actually back into the mix too, kind of. Yeah,
with the lack, or not lack of shields, but with the nerf to shields, I think that Zen is going to be much more viable.
Yeah,
and then always with his ult and Discord.
Yeah.
He brings so much value to a team.
Yeah, and because if you're running Anna. Wow, that was a bad sentence. If you're running Anna or Baptiste, you need a Zen, a Lucio, a Brigitte. You need that defensive negate ult.
Right.
Kind of thing. Especially if you're playing against, you know, another Baptiste, or you're playing against someone with a big offensive ultimate. You need that, I'm going to cancel this out, which is usually Zen or Lucio, and I think more with this, the way the patch has been running with Brig. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm liking where my team's going now. It's kind of, it feels good to not go, okay, so we got these guys.
I mean, you guys definitely have much more talent. I think your coaching staff is going to be definitely better than it's been.
Yeah.
That's probably where the biggest questions are. And I'm sorry to make this comparison, but just hope that it's not the way that my football team has turned out.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's the, sometimes organizations don't change.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love my team, and, you know, it's just like, for some reason they have bad karma. I don't know what it is. You know, like your football team. All signs pointed to you guys being, you know, in the hunt to go to the Super Bowl or to play the Patriots and lose, or whatever you want to call it.
Like, be in the playoffs and, like, handily in the playoffs, but... Yeah. No.
And, you know, and there's so many teams that are, like, you know, the Clippers are another example. You know, in basketball, you know, there's so many teams that you can just equate it to. Like, but I have hope. I have not had hope since, you know, before season 1 started.
Right.
So I'm going to roll with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's, you guys have had probably one of the better off seasons for especially for like the teams that finished in the lower tier last season. I think you guys have one of the strongest off seasons there.
Yeah, and you know, I can kind of feel and I will take it. I can kind of feel okay, we might make the play-in.
Right.
I'll take the play-in.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a solid spot right now. Excuse me. That's a solid spot right now for where this team can be with a huge upside.
Absolutely.
But coaching is going to matter a lot more now.
It is.
And I think Kuki was a good move. But, they didn't, acquire the whole runaway roster, but that's okay. They have a plan, which is weird, and I'll take it. So,
all right. So let's move on to the next team, Shanghai, who made a lot of changes, but I think overall some pretty strong changes. The biggest thing is I think they have a very crowded DPS pool now.
Yeah, but it's a good rotation.
Yeah, it's very strong. I mean,
it's one of the more scary ones in the league, really. If you just look at it,
you already had Carpe and Ding. Then they added Lip or Diem and Ding. Yeah, Diem and Ding. That's already a strong DPS line right there.
And yet Lip and Fleta.
And Fleta. So they're looking real strong DPS wise.
Yeah.
I wonder, this screams to me 2-team roster of having, because you have 2 hit scan, 2 projectile. I could definitely see Shanghai being one of the teams that rolls with a 2-team lineup basically for when they travel.
Yeah, because you're gonna need something.
Yeah,
and having Fleta in there, I think is gonna be huge. Mm-hmm. But I also think that picking up some of the guys they did like Stand and main tank, because that was a huge question once they said Gamsu was going to Dallas,
right?
And there was a lot of things. Is Bumper going to go there? We'll get to him in a minute. But there was talk of Fate going there. They were kind of it was kind of up in the air. But right. I think they made a good pick there. They're going to be an interesting team to watch.
Oh, definitely. I think they really have potential to be.
That division's kind of crowded too, but
yeah, they already had some strong potential, but I think that they have moved themselves to be definitely the top tier China team. I think them and the Spark are definitely the top 2. But at this point I would probably put Shanghai above the Spark. Just solely based on the capabilities of the players on their roster.
Yeah.
And we've seen that when things go right for them, that they can really dominate.
Yeah, they can.
Especially after stage 3.
Yeah, and they also added Void, which, I think it's a good pickup. Void, he wasn't, I don't know, it was a weird, the Gladiators were weird last year.
Yeah.
It's just, and he was one of the kind of, as the season progressed, he became one of the brighter spots on that team.
Definitely.
I think he's going to work in well with them, but the Chinese teams are they're fighting for supremacy in China as well as, so they're all kind of trying to one up each other, except for Chengdu. Chengdu is doing what they do, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Which they're Chinese moves. Boston.
They really are.
I'm not going on a limb here. They're, you don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah.
Last year they surprised me and everybody else with what they did. So, you could say, well, yeah, they're the bottom of the Chinese teams, but they could be the top. You don't know what the fuck they're going to do. Guangzhou is weird. And, the Spark are the Spark are pretty much the benchmark right now, but Shanghai is creeping up on them.
I agree, for sure.
Let's dive into the London Spitfire. So,
yeah.
I just called Chengdu, Boston, China. Let's just call London European LA Valiant. Can we do that?
Oh, man.
That was a little bit of a hot take there, but the guys they signed weren't terrible. That's the thing.
No,
they didn't just go out and get a bunch of fucking...
They did actually sign some pretty decent players, but it's just like...
They're not the guys that you're used to.
Like it's really just questionable because they had some really strong players to begin with, and I feel like they could have built around them, but they decided to go in a different way, and they pretty much signed a completely new team.
Yeah, I mean, are they going budget? Who knows? I mean,
yeah, I mean a little bit, but at the same time, like I feel like some of these guys they probably paid a good amount for.
Yeah, like Shui from Runaway. Yeah. You got J-Mac, who is from LGE, Huya. I don't know much about that.
Yeah.
I did watch Shui a little bit, though. He's good, because I had a vested interest in the Runaway, because I thought they were going to my team, so...
Right.
They signed Hailey from Dynasty. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everything's kind of okay. Like, Sanguinar, I have no idea.
Right. Same it's like, okay, they're decent, but like it's not like, oh my god, this is a huge signing.
Yeah, they made no huge signings.
They did not. Yeah, because you got Sanguinar from Gen B, Glister from Gen G.
Yeah. Gen B is the tier 3.
Yes. And that's their main support now. Yeah.
I mean, they have a plan. I mean, it doesn't look like they have a plan, but they seem to have... They just didn't go out and sign a bunch of people. I mean, it could be what Florida did last year, too. That's the one thing. I'm looking at it as a Mayhem fan going, wow, this smells a lot like what we did last year.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that they do have going for them is I think as an organization, they have at least some stability as far as like top like leadership.
Yeah,
mostly
I
because I mean we've seen what they were able to do. They did win season 1. Like that wasn't just a fluke. There's definitely some strong possibilities for this team, but I do think it's going to take a little bit for them to really shine through. I think they're going to look really rough to start the season.
Yeah, and we don't have the stages, so you can't go, well, stage 1, they were terrible. I think it's going to be, for them, it's going to be a building process. Young team, they're all contenders players, pretty much. I don't know what to think of them. I mean, you could just initially say, yeah, well, they're going to be in the bottom. But that division they're in is not the greatest.
Right.
That's the one thing they got going for them. You got, in that division, you have what? NYXL, because they're in the north. You got NYXL, Paris, who's going all Korean. You got NYXL, who's going to be probably the benchmark. Toronto, who's upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
Boston, who's Boston. We're just going to throw that in there. So there's a good possibility you could do something like this.
Yeah.
Where you're running, you're just going to reset and run a bunch of guys that, no one really knows that much about. Washington, I think, Washington's in that division as well. So, there's a lot to work with. There's a lot you can do. I think the South is going to be a lot tougher than the Atlantic North.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, it's surprising that they went in this direction. There's a definite plan here. And really, the only team to be... two teams right now to be afraid of. Maybe Toronto and New York.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Toronto is a conglomeration of really good players that, you're hoping, well, like, I'm hoping they're going to be good.
Same.
And same with you. But if you have a better synergy and all the intangibles and all that stuff, you might be able to pull off some stuff because you're probably going to be able to finish ahead of Boston.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I really don't fully know what to think of London, but I do think that they definitely have a lower or a higher floor. I think like the lowest we see them go is probably like 12 to 14.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
But I think that they could also finish as high as being like the number one team. In all honesty, like they have anywhere from 14 all the way to being the number one seed, depending on how well they vibe together and how quickly that comes about.
Yeah, and it's as always, it's meta dependent, all that kind of bullshit. Right. Some of the things, we didn't expect that this year, where teams were, that came into the league, you didn't expect Atlanta to be as good as they were, things like that. There's questions to be answered, in February, starting in February.
Yeah, absolutely.
With them. And I don't see it as horrible of a situation as a lot of people do. I see it as, okay, sometimes it happens like in other sports, there's times when you're like, okay, we can hit the reset button here because everybody else is shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for maybe one or two teams. Not counting the AFC East in that because they hit the reset button every year except for the Patriots.
Right. And the Patriots take advantage of that.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for you, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Calm down.
All right. Easy there, guys.
Yeah. You beat the Broncos and you beat the fucking Browns.
No, they didn't beat the Browns. They lost to us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they lost to you. I forgot about that.
No, we lost to you guys when you started your brand new quarterback, because apparently when there's a quarterback that we have no film on, we're straight garbage. For some reason.
Yeah.
God. Oh, what a joke.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man.
I hate being a Browns fan.
Yeah. It's terrible.
It's awful. So
I was trying to find a silver lining in that, but there's
none right now. It sucks. So let's move on. There's just a couple other little moves that we wanted to talk about before we talk about the one big one that everybody's talking about. So the Excelsior, they signed Bianca as a flex tank. Obviously, there to take Meko's place. And then
I think he's going to split with Hotba.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something that was everyone expected that was going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can't. I don't know. It's one of those things like Meko is a top 5 off tank, and you're trying to fill his shoes.
And now you're going to have 2 players to do it.
I mean, really. Who knows? Bianca could be better at some point.
Yeah, he's definitely got the potential. And then they also picked up Mandu from O2 Blast as main support. Probably going to be back up to
Animo.
Well,
Chino is a solid. You got to have a backup. Just a little bench fill there. They're going to be interesting this year without Meko, but I like the direction. All right, so we have this.
There's there's 2 other ones. The one that I thought was definitely kind of out of nowhere was the Spark trading Nosemite to the Eternal.
Yeah.
That one I did not see coming at all. I don't really know what to think of this as a move. It basically just points that they are going full Korean roster.
Yeah.
That's really all I've gotten out of that.
Yeah, minus a couple of guys. I think they kept Ben Best. And
I think they kept Soon as well.
Yeah, and Soon. But Nosemite's nothing to write home about. Now I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, as a main tank.
I think in some spots he can be really good, and other ones
I mean, Goucheway was so much better than him
exactly.
to start. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it either. It's like, all right, yeah, he's decent enough.
Right.
It's nothing that... the move is fine, I guess, if you're going all Korean.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 4 or 5 other tanks you probably could have gone with, main tanks, but you know what?
Bumper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bumper, other guys from, the Tier 2 scene, which is a shit show anyway, but, that's for another show.
Right.
It's getting into that whole thing. But,
yeah.
It's whatever for me.
It's a whatever move. Then there was our final confirmation. The rumors were true. Fissure is coming back and going to play for the Titans. And
I stand by what I said too.
Yeah. I don't think either of us are going to change our opinions on that. But in that, Bumper was just straight up released instead of being traded. I'm assuming that they weren't able to find somebody to either buy out his contract or trade him to. So they just released him. So he really got screwed.
He did. Him and another
most
guy.
Teams had just about filled out their rosters, so there's really not a lot of place for him to go. I do think that he will end up on a team before the season starts or shortly thereafter.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine that guy's going to be
sitting
a free
around
agent
doing
for
nothing.
very long. Yeah, exactly.
And especially if Ryan becomes meta in some way, shape, or form, because we're seeing a lot of Ryan Orisa right now.
Right.
But I think for some teams, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. He could. He could help out quite a few teams. Paris, Philly. I get that. I really don't want to get into the Fissure thing again. I have my opinions about Fissure. I don't know if maybe he's, taking a year off or however long and figured out some other things and done some stuff. But, sometimes the headache is not worth the potential upside.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
That team is pretty awesome anyway, so I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem, but you're taking a big risk in changing a vital position like main tank.
Agreed. Yeah.
And you're bringing in someone who is potentially going to take you, over the top, which is one game.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, it is what it is at this point. He'll either be great or make
Fissure.
them come crumbling down. Yeah, which is
more to where I lean.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's pretty much it for most everything except the one that we've been putting off until now.
Yeah.
And that is the out of nowhere signing that broke everything.
That actually broke
Overwatch
the internet.
League. Yeah, Overwatch League related. And that is Chipsa getting signed to the Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I was like, first of all, why?
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to sign a Doomfist one trick? And I didn't really even think that he was, like, his Doomfist was good enough to even warrant that. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think it was a terrible signing. I think from their standpoint, I kind of understand it.
I definitely see it as a few different things. I think it's a little bit of a it definitely is similar to what Dallas did in signing Seagull and XQC. It's definitely because he's one of the more popular streamers.
He is.
For sure. So
especially in the EU.
Yes.
Which is kind of an untapped
market for Overwatch.
Yeah. For Overwatch League, Minus DeFran.
But I feel like DeFran is like...
He's universal.
Yeah.
As far as Overwatch goes. I mean, he's like everybody knows
really
him.
Any English-speaking...
human knows DeFran.
Really.
But I don't hate the signing, honestly.
Yeah.
And here's my take on it. The fact, he's a one-trick Doomfist, but you sign him as like a backup. Most of the time you're going to play EQO, you're going to play Carpe. Mm-hmm. They've shown that they're not good at some of the off-meta.
Yes.
Or at a certain point, meta heroes. Like they struggle with May and Reaper. They're good at the classic heroes.
I mean, their Doomfist was pretty weak as well. So, yeah. I mean, I get it on that point. And I do think...
been kind of meta for the last 6 months.
Right. So, I think... was it... it was the head coach of Philly that said it, that he's like, I didn't... So, well, actually, no. I think before that, we should get into the reaction to this. So
the reaction was a little crazy.
It got nuts. So the big reaction, obviously, if you've been living under a rock, was from Jane, former assistant coach of the Dallas Fuel, streamer. Like, if you don't know who Jane is, like, do you even pay attention to this at all?
You haven't been paying attention to anything.
Right.
So Overwatch League related, or Overwatch related for that matter.
Right. So when it comes... So his reaction was... He was furious because he feels like there's other guys that are in the Tier 2 scene who have been working really hard, who have just been basically playing for free and not getting anything for it, guys who just haven't been paid or whatever, whereas with Chipsa, he has a pretty successful stream. He is obviously he is pretty much making a living playing the game at the moment, so I understand it from that perspective of why he would be so upset to not have some of these guys get a chance.
Shot.
Yeah
I do to an extent.
Who was already making money off the game. So I get it from that perspective, but at the same time, calm down there, Jane. Like, it's because the coach of Philly really made a good point in that I would have loved to have signed one of those guys, but I also didn't want to just have him sitting on the bench not getting playtime. Yeah. Because
that's my whole thing with this. So you got to the big time and you never get in.
Exactly.
You're Pine.
You're N-Lair, who's another guy we're going to talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And like it's that exact type of thing of like they're just not going to get a shot. So why even spend the money on them from a business perspective, and then like not give them a chance to go back and get playtime and get better.
Yeah. And with this, you kind of... He can do what he does 85% of the time. Stream, do his thing, beat Chipsa, but if the meta calls, he's there, when they need him. And also, from a brand perspective... You look at the top-selling jerseys in Overwatch League history over the last 2 years. Outside of Jonak, I would say DeFran, XQC, Seagull. Do you see the pattern here?
Exactly.
Is Chipsa going to be one of those guys? Probably. I mean, they already have Fish and Chipsa going already, so t-shirts. But
not gonna lie, I really want one of those shirts.
Yeah, so do I.
Because it's pretty
Fusion
great.
people, if you're listening, we will wear them.
Definitely rock that on this stream.
But I understand that from the perspective of Jane. But my feeling is, look, they're signing him. They're not, honestly, and I agree with the more with the coach of Philly that said, all right, so we signed him. He's a Doomfist one trick, yeah. But if we need a Doomfist, we got the best one on, available.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to fill my bench with guys that are never going to play. I mean, there's all kinds of other stuff coming out about Philly. Elk said there's a lot of bullshit going on. There's all kinds of stuff that we don't know about. But from my perspective, I see it, everyone's losing their mind. Okay, so here's another point. So everybody's losing their mind about Chipsa getting signed. Nobody's losing their mind about the Runaway getting depleted.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's worried about tier 2. So Runaway just got totally raped. Everyone's gone. Minus the underage people. Element Mystic. O2 Blast.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these really, really
Fusion
good.
University. You know, all these guys are getting picked up. But the one guy gets picked up that's a streamer, and everybody loses their collective minds. Yeah. He might be he might be a little bit more on the caustic side, and some people don't like him. But you know what? They need to calm the fuck down, because first of all, the tier 2 scene just got raped. The tier 2 scene right now, honestly, in my opinion, is going to be filled with guys that can't get back into the Overwatch League because everybody went budget.
Right.
So don't be crying that these guys are not getting a chance. They're getting a chance. They have tryouts. They have workouts. They have these things where they come into the teams. You know what? Chipsa fit what they wanted and what they needed. They wanted someone to grow their brand. They wanted someone to play Doomfist when they fucking needed it, because their guys suck at playing Doomfist. And show me one highlight from EQO or Carpe playing anyone other than a Hitscan or Hanzo or a Genji.
Or Pharah.
Or a Pharah.
Yeah. Like, I never once were you like, oh my god, look at that Mei. Or look at that Doomfist, look at that Reaper, nothing like that.
Yeah, you're like, oh, Carpe's okay on Reaper.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he's not going to fit. Chips is not fitting into those roles. But everybody crying about the tier 2 scene and them not doing anything. Every other team just absolutely raided the tier 2 scenes to the point where some teams don't have any players.
Right.
So don't say that they're not fucking looking at tier 2.
Oh yeah.
You're losing your mind over nothing.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, like we've talked about it a little bit, or a lot in the past about just how screwed tier 2 is in general. And it's like the issues are so much deeper than what they're bringing up in this anyway. That's my biggest issue with it is like, okay, if you're going to get mad about tier 2, there is so much more to get mad about. Like, how about the fact that so many of these guys still have not been paid?
Yeah.
And just in general, unfortunately, the tier 2 scene just is like a money pit. And like no teams are making money off of their tier 2 scene, and they need to figure out a way to do that, because
there are some teams making money off of it, and it's the teams that are farming really good talent, like Runaway.
Like there's like 4 or 5 teams that are really.
I mean, like Runaway farms good talent every year, and they sell them for a high price.
They're basically my baseball team.
The Kansas City Royals, not quite your team. Your team 15 years ago.
I mean, even still, I mean, in the past, 10, 15 years, look at how many guys left the Indians and went on to become, Cy Young winners or
CC.
Whatever. CC, Cliff Lee.
Yeah, he fell off a cliff.
Yeah, he really did.
Pun intended.
Yes.
Oh,
man.
His arm went, into the fucking... Whatever happened to him. But... It's a signing. It's a bench player, guys.
Right.
Calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like, if he was, like, they're like, yeah, he's starting over Carpe, then maybe you can get a little weird about it. But you know what? These teams can do whatever the fuck they want with their money. I mean, we're NFL fans. I hate the Raiders, but they fucking go out and just get the next wide receiver that runs a 4.3 40-yard dash for the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
That's their prerogative.
Or, now their thing is they're just churning out top tier tight ends like they're
and their coach makes porn faces. Yeah, let me tell you about that guy.
Yeah,
you know, he's got a strong work ethic, and I do a terrible fucking John Gruden.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean there's like the talk of nepotism. But his
brother totally didn't want him on the team. He's like,
yeah,
no.
That's the funniest part. It's like his brother came out and he's like, I didn't want him on our team. That was not my
Chipsa even said that on a stream. He's like, my brother wanted no part of this at all.
Yeah. Which I think is hysterical.
Nepotism, but obviously people aren't sports fans because nepotism doesn't run through every sport.
Because look at some of the best players in any sport ever, and all of them had either children that became superstars, were superstars themselves, that had children that ended up...
Or were mediocre and got a shot because of their name.
Exactly. Like,
I told you about the Wayback Machine with the Dale Berra.
Yeah.
Who was Yogi Berra's kid. He was like a mediocre player for Pittsburgh, and the Yankees picked him up because his dad was a legend. And was managing the team.
Just look at right now. Look at
basketball.
Yeah, look at basketball. Like, LeBron James is like, his dream is to play on the court at the same time as his kid.
Yeah. Well, and you got guys like,
and they're talking about his kid as being the next him, like,
yeah, and you got guys
he's going to be good enough for it.
I mean, you got guys like Klay Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Steph Curry.
Steph
His
Curry.
His dad was
Del Curry.
Del Curry was he was like a middling. He wasn't a bad player, but he definitely wasn't what Steph Curry is right now.
No.
Look at baseball. You got Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
There's so many examples. Even in football right now, you've got...
all the coaches have their kids are like fucking assistants, including Joe Dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Bill Belichick's kid is basically his his defensive coordinator at the moment. Then you have... Kyle Shanahan. His dad was a coach forever, and Kyle's been there since he was like 14 or 15. He was there like with his dad.
Yeah,
probably even younger than that. He was there.
It's a thing. It happens.
Exactly.
Sometimes nepotism supports middling fucking players, middling coaches.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. You don't know. Chipsa could be the one fucking piece that they needed.
Yeah, who knows? But
I have strong opinions on that. It's like everyone makes like it's the end of the earth. The one thing that if I was a Philly fan, I would be complaining about is we got fucking Sato as our main tank, and you're fucking signing 900 DPS players.
Exactly. That's really
that would be my contention.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is, guys. There's no, and I love Jane. I think in this one he's a little off.
I agree.
And, usually I agree with him, and so a lot of his takes. This one I'm kind of like, yeah, but tier 2 needs some work, and, we're not talking about how teams, like, devastated 5 teams in the league in tier 2, and they have nowhere to go. Where a team like Fusion University, they might not exist. You know what I mean? It's like, because so many players are gone. Runaway had all of their players essentially that were of age and some that are going to turn of age during the season taken away.
Mm-hmm.
But
exactly,
you're going to complain about Chipsa. Okay.
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about End Layer. We hinted at it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So he came out and basically was just ripping apart his coaching staff, the Reign as an organization.
In case you didn't know, the Reign signed Sharp from Team Envy, DPS player, and they released End Layer. Obviously, and it's late, and and honestly, finally, someone said something about getting released late and all that kind of stuff. Some of this stuff is rough, and this keeps falling back on what we constantly talk about with, not necessarily a union, but an association, something where the players can get together and work through some of the stuff. But he kind of went off, and he retired on top of it. Was he the best player? No.
Yeah.
He's Overwatch League worthy, though, in my opinion. I thought when he came in, he had his moments where he was really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of bothers me to see someone leave the scene because of something like this.
Yeah, I agree. It is a shame, but at the same time, like, it's tough because I understand that there has to be some really shitty things that go on behind the scenes that we just don't really know about, and guys promise things that don't come to fruition, and unfortunately, that's just a reality of life. It doesn't matter what profession you're in, you are just going to get screwed over. Someone's going to tell you that they're going to do something, then they do something different, or they don't do that thing at all.
It's like that meme with the dude holding hands with his girlfriend and looking at a chick walking by.
Exactly.
It's that all the time. That's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they felt Sharp was the better fit. We don't know all the things that happened with End Layer, but, end of the day, it's not that big of a deal, like roster-wise, from our perspective, for me. At least, Sharp might fit in better, but the reaction, I get it, though. I get getting moved out. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been moved out a couple times in my life, and doing things, it's like, you're not a good fit here. Well, fuck you then. You're an asshole. You're a terrible manager.
Right.
Well, maybe they weren't.
Right, exactly. It's a reality of life, and everyone has to go through that at some point.
It's one of those things. You do what you do,
Exactly.
Whether it's wrong or right. But that being said, though, there still needs to be some kind of, because him and Bumper got released in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked, man.
Yeah.
Like, Bumper has a better shot at landing in their spot. Everybody signed all the people they want, and there's still guys like laying around in the weeds, like Bumper, Badosin, End Layer, I guess. Where you're like, okay, so they got kind of fucked. I don't know. I mean, the word's out on Bumper. The words, you know what I mean? It's like, is he good, or was the rest of the team good around him?
Right.
There's only one way to find out, and that's to sign him and see what happens. But
yeah, for sure. But at the same time, like, it's
same thing with
it just
End
seems
Layer.
strange, especially with Bumper, because he was such a vital part of Runaway for such a long time. That's where it seems different. But yeah, I mean, that just shows that, like, it's a business. There is no such thing as loyalty. If you're not producing the way that they want you to, you're gone. That's just a reality of
sports and life in general. I mean, it's a business. That's the one thing that people don't get. It's a business. What's better for my business? What's better for my brand?
Mm-hmm.
London and Boston think right now the Valiant think it's kind of going with budget and see what happens. Other teams, like Seoul or Florida, Toronto, they're doing we need to win now.
Right.
It's just, how do you want your brand to work?
Yeah.
And, honestly, end of the day with Atlanta, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I look at their roster and I'm going, okay, did they really need End Layer? The Titans, I think they needed Bumper. That's a different thing. It's not that I'm not a fan of Fissure. I love watching that dude play. I think he's fucking incredible at times.
Right. But is it going to be...
He's T.O.
Yeah.
There's going to be moments where you're like, wow, he really made a difference. But...
There's going to be other moments where you're going to be like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. You're going to be going, this is going where I thought it was going to go.
Exactly.
Somewhere in mid-July, you're going to be going, well, saw that coming.
Mm-hmm.
He just threw a hissy fit for nothing because the meta went in a weird direction where, fucking Roadhog and Diva are a thing, and he has no fucking place in that. You know what I mean? It's
exactly. Yeah.
Which is what he was not a good goats tank.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be honest. I mean, Michelle was better than him.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Anyway. Okay, guys. That's going to do it, I think, for this one. We're probably going to hit you with some stuff. Obviously, more coming up. Regular Overwatch stuff going on. We got the
event. We've got
the patch dropping.
Patch dropping. And then obviously just leading up to the start of the season, there's a whole lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about.
And there's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on here. We're going to try to stream some more and stuff like that. We're going to get some people on. We're going to start talking about teams. Deep diving into, where we think they're going to be. We're going to hit you with, our predictions for divisions, because we have divisions now.
Right. And they actually matter.
Yeah. All that kind of good stuff. Side note, Blizzard, it's time to recognize Die Hard in your Winter Wonderland event.
Yes.
I want to, someone needs a Hans outfit. Perhaps give Soldier 76 a fucking John McClane.
Yes.
Can we do that?
Oh, man, that'd be awesome. That'd be perfect.
But the closest thing to Hans you would have would probably be either Reinhardt or Sigma.
Yeah, I was thinking Sigma or Reinhardt. I think
Rein's too good.
He's too good for it. Sigma maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely even if it is just a soldier, John McClane would be so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy skin. We're talking a white tank top, jeans, and a fucking wrapped feet.
And bare feet. And you can even throw a Santa hat on him, too.
Yeah. We got it covered. But that's all I want. And I still want the Junkrat, Roadhog, Heat Miser, Snow Miser thing. Just throwing that out there. But anyway, other than that, you guys have a good rest of your week. We will hit you up at some point. Keep an eye on social media. We're going to be doing some things. So watch our Twitter, watch our whatever else we're on. And to everybody on YouTube, thank you very much for all your likes and all of your watches and all that stuff. And also, speaking of that, please hit the subscribe button. Also, liking our videos helps us out a lot. It gets us, with the way YouTube works now, it gets more people involved, which will get everybody, we want to get everybody talking about what's going on. So please do that. And everybody in podcast land, please give us a rating. Tell us what you think, all that kind of stuff. If you're on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you're at. Everybody, have a good rest of your day, and we will talk to you later.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Later.